Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, brothers and sisters, and welcome to the Stronger Muslim podcast, where we'll discuss how to get in shape physically and spiritually as Muslims and find ways, to pray on time, to lose weight if that's what we want, lose belly fat, become stronger, find different ways of doing that using both science and sunnah. And today's subject or theme is a really important one. It's a very big one, but we're going to be concise. However, today's subject is going to be really important. Why? It is what you need, no matter what you're thinking about, whatever you want to achieve successfully, both in dunya and akhirah. No matter if you're talking about getting that job or getting that degree, starting a family, finding a spouse, getting in shape, start working out, doing a diet, studying Islam, whatever that might be. This is the most crucial thing you need. Otherwise, you will not succeed. You will be from the losers. And this is something you can use in everyday life. It's so simple. And we already have that specific theme all over the Quran and Sunnah, and it's consistency. Something we all struggle with. I always tell my clients, but also other people I speak with, there are two superpowers. Like if you have them, for today's standards, if you have them, you will practically be a superhero. And that if you're being consistent and you're being focused. Because what's the problem today? The problem is today that people are not consistent. They're not praying on time. They're not doing the diets consistently. They're not working out consistently, whatever it might be. And they're distracted, scrolling the phone, not doing what we're supposed to do. So we're going to talk about the consistency part. I've named this document that I'm showing you. And if you're listening, you can also see the video version on YouTube. But this is why Muslims can never be consistent with losing weight. And there are 4 main points I want to talk about. So the first one is why consistency is a challenge. And then the second one, the 3 pillars of consistency. And this is something I use a lot in my own life and with my clients. And hopefully it can benefit you. And the third one is why most programs fail. You probably wasted a lot of money and time in different type of programs and they're not being successful. Well, I'm going to name you a few reasons why. And I want to leave you guys with something practical, an action step you can start doing today. So the last point is going to be what you can do today. And I've done a few other scripts, other subjects, and I'm putting this, I like it. I'm putting it at the end of every script. So let's see how it goes. First things first. So why consistency is a challenge. So there are 3 main things, right? So it's kind of, so people mostly, they want to see results, right? So don't really think about how to get there. So this is something, I call the chaotic approach. So you're starting off the bat, spontaneously without a clear plan, and you're kind of jumping from thing to, one thing to another. And you see that a lot. People, for example, dieting, right? You start a diet, you do it for a week or 2, and then you either get bored or you lose motivation and you jump to another one, thinking that a new thing might save the situation, right? Probably that's not the case because otherwise you wouldn't have a problem in the first place, right? The second challenge is, right, let's say you have a plan, you follow a diet or you follow whatever, memorize the Quran. This is a good example. You might write on YouTube and find these amazing programs they have, for example, in the Medina University, right? The Islamic University, they have amazing programs. But those programs are for people that dedicated their lives to study Islam. Most of us, we're not there, right? We have families, we have work. Like, if we can spend 5 minutes, that's, 5 minutes every day reading Quran, that's basically a miracle, right? So the second challenge is relying on generic solutions. So these are programs or plans or solutions that don't really take into consideration of, who you are, what you are specifically struggling with, individual circumstances. Some plans don't even care about if you're, Muslim or not. And I think this is a problem. I see some self-development programs, whatever you call them, when you want to, even therapy, some therapy programs, I'm not sure what you call it, not sessions, but programs, right? Frameworks. Some of them are like blatantly, like straight up shirk kufr. It's all about like, you can do everything, not having tawakkul, you got to do, it's like this weird thing. Or even they talk about, okay, rely on the universe. That's shirk, guys, right? So we are Muslims, we have beautiful principle in Islam. And that's something I'm going to show you today. The third thing is why it's a challenge is lack of long-term support and accountability. So doing things yourself is going to inevitably lead to burnout or just procrastination, not doing anything about it, right? So if we flip it, like these challenges, not having a clear plan, generic solutions, lack of support. If you flip it, you kind of get this, the 3 pillars of consistency. All right. So I have a few examples here. So the first pillar is, if you think about a chaotic approach, if you flip it, well, you got structure, both in your fitness and faith. So there's an analogy here. I wrote building a house without a plan. So this is something that you always talk about. Imagine you buy a piece of land, right? And you decide to build a house for you and your family. Allah Mubarak. You get the guys there that are going to build it, dig out the materials, the machines and everything. And then you just give them the instruction of, just build a house, right? I'll come by next week. Now, if they don't have a plan, they don't know where the walls, windows, the doors, nothing. They don't know where things should be. Like, I'm not sure if you're going to come back to a house. It's probably not, right? So it's really important to have a plan in the first place, knowing what to do and why to do it. Even in Islam, when you start studying Islamic knowledge, one of the first things in many programs, you learn how to study. You learn the etiquettes of a student knowledge, how you should be, how you should approach the shaykh and everything. Because that's the most important thing. If you don't have a structure, whatever's going to come after that is not going to be beneficial. You won't be open to it. So that's why you need a tailored plan. So like the guys that are building the house, if you show them what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, you have the plan showing them that, no problem. You're going to come back. You're going to be a beautiful house there, inshallah, right? And I want to give you an example of one of my clients, Asma. She struggled a lot with emotional eating. And this is one of the problems with a lot of people. Most diets don't really care about your emotional eating. They just shut it down and tell you to stop eat, right? Not a good solution, if you ask me. So what we did for her, for example, is 4 things, right? This is the structure. So keep it simple. For example, eat family meals, no problem, but control the portions, especially the carbs, right? And add some extra protein. For example, she added eggs or tuna for extra protein. Don't count calories. Just find the balance there. The reason here is because she has an issue with emotional eating that came a lot from stress. So if for example, if I told her just count calories, it would be easy for me. I wouldn't have to do a lot of work, but you're going to add a lot of stress for her, which is going to lead to more emotional eating, right? So the solution that might work for some people won't work here. The second thing was junk food, right? For her, it made sense to remove it, to shift the mindset. So for example, this is her word. She started to treat the junk food like poison, seeing that it was harmful for her body and also wasting money for nothing. So she said, I had the quote here. She said, buying junk food is like harming myself with my own money, right? Now, this might not work for many people, but it worked for her to just erase that part of her life. It wasn't easy, but it made sense. The third thing was to add more periods of fasting, right? To work with her appetite, because as soon as she was hungry, snack or something, right? So we use or leverage fasting to kind of reset the cravings and kill the emotional eating. And the bonus here, obviously, is to get that spiritual benefit. Now, one thing I want to make it very clear. Those of you who use fasting, remember the number one intention you should have is to follow the sunnah, do it for the sake of Allah, not to lose weight. Otherwise, you will lose so much benefit. The main benefit should be, or the main intention should be that you're doing it for the sake of Allah. But if you have, like, there can be physical benefits, health benefits, right? So it's going to be a double win, obviously. This fourth thing we did here to give her structure was to make gradual changes, no extremes, right? Not going all in or all out, right? So no like crazy restrictions. Apart, like as an exception, with the junk food, that this was her choice, right? So that's a little bit different. When you feel restricted, it's not your choice. It's someone forcing it upon you, right? And then you can, like for what we did for her, for example, we can reintroduce foods, right? So let's say for her, we cut off the junk food, but you can still reintroduce it slowly. So it goes from eating junk food just to feel better to eating junk food to actually enjoy it, if that makes sense. Kind of reset that craving signal and focus on long-term sustainability, right? Instead of short-term perfection. These are 4 things that we did for her. It might resonate with you, it might not resonate with you, and that's the thing. Structure, it needs to be individual. Now, the next thing is, the next pillar, if you remember the challenge, the second challenge was relying on generic solutions that copy-paste, right, basically, right? So if we flip that, then the second pillar should be flexibility, right? So flexibility is, I use this analogy, by the way, when let's say, imagine that if you drive to your work, imagine that you get into the car one morning and you decide not to even start the car until all the traffic lights on that road turns green at the same time. So you don't have to face any struggles or problems. So it's highly unlikely this will ever happen. And the problem is 2 things. 3 things there are going to be 2 scenarios here. Either one, you're going to wait and procrastinate, and nothing's going to happen. You're not even going to start the car, which a lot of you people are, right? A lot of us even fall into that, even me, right? That we wait for the perfect, moment to start something. The second thing is you might start, but as soon as you hit that red light, you give up. Now it's too hard, it's too difficult, right? And then you go back. This is not a problem, right? So if you're being very strict about it, even if you have structure and you're being very strict about it, you will either procrastinate or you give up eventually. And that's why you need flexibility. So you need to have a program that adjusts for good days and bad days. Just like the salah. When you're a traveler, you pray differently. You can shorten the prayer. You can combine the prayers, right? For those who don't know, you have Fajr, Zuhur, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, right? Zuhur and Asr, 4 rakat each. That's when you're a resident, when you're at home. But when you travel to another city or another country, you can actually shorten them. You can pray Dhuhr, 2 rakat. Asr, 2 rakat. Not only that, you can even combine them. You can pray Dhuhr and Asr after each other in the time of Dhuhr or in the time of Asr. Right? Obviously, more details on that, but you see how flexible our religion is already. The Salah is probably the most consistent thing you're going to have in your life. You start praying when you reach puberty, or preferably before that, or when you become a Muslim like me, and you pray until you die, until they put you in the grave and they pray janazah over you, right? Sorry, I got a notification off. So you need a program that can adjust for both the good days and bad days if you're going to be consistent. So for example, let me give you an example of Afan's workout plan here. So Afan is a client that joined a few months ago. And why I'm talking about my clients is because it makes sense to show what they've done, because I think a lot of you that are listening struggle with the same thing. So if you're hearing this and you struggle with, for example, belly fat that Afan did, so he's out in Denver and he struggled with finding consistency in his workout. That was one of the things, right, stopping him. So I created 3 different plans for him. So I'm using the plan ABC model. It actually comes from a hadith, the salah. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, صلي قائما في لم تستطع صلي قائدا في لم تستطع صلي أو فعلا جنبي, right? And hopefully I narrated that wrong, but at least in the meaning of it, that you pray while standing. If you cannot, you pray while sitting. And if you cannot even do that, you pray while lying down. You got these 3 modes, right? Same thing with the workout. I'm basically using the same framework. So we have a plan A, 10-minute whole workout for Afan. That's his main plan when he has time and energy. But there are going to be bad days, for example, where he won't have that time or energy. Well, the nature of his work, for example, and this is why it's so important not to have flexibility, but structure, individual structure that works for you. So his work, he was able to walk a lot. He was walking between the buildings and stuff. So we set a goal to do 8,000 steps for plan B. If he didn't do plan A, the 10-minute home workout, plan B, 8,000 steps. And there are going to be days where he won't be able even do that. So we have a minimum plan. Don't leave it, keep it, but keep it at minimal. So plan C for him was just to do 5 push-ups. 5 push-ups, like take 10 seconds, right? And it's not about the push-ups themselves. It's about the statement, showing yourself that you're showing up. You're ticking off the box. You're not giving up on this one, and you're being consistent. Because consistency, again, is a superpower today. So if you can be consistent in the workout, well, who says like for example with Afan, plan C might be 5 push-ups today, but in a year it might be 50. But he would never reach 50 push-ups if he didn't start with 5, right? The third pillar, before we go into why most program fails, is accountability. And if you think about it, your parents taught you, hopefully, to brush your teeth. You didn't jump out of the womb with a toothbrush ready to brush the teeth that didn't even exist, right? They had to learn. You had to learn this, right? Along with many other skills. And it was not probably something you look forward to brush your teeth. Not a lot of kids are excited about brushing their teeth. So your parents were basically the external accountability for you, pushing you to do it every single day, morning and evening, right? Until that internal accountability inside of you kicked in, where you started yourself to voluntarily brush your teeth without the external accountability, and it turns into a habit, and that habit turns into a lifestyle. And I'm very sure, hopefully, that you don't have to have your parents to check up on you if you're brushing your teeth or not. You're doing it yourself. Heck, even if you miss brushing your teeth, that probably will be very uncomfortable for you, right? So that external accountability is essential, especially if you're starting off with something that, you have no idea what to do, you're not consistent or whatnot. And this can be a coach, it can be a support system, it can be different things, right? We can talk more about that maybe in another episode. But just get the idea of having an external accountability, because I hear this a lot. People say, I'm going to do it myself. I've struggled with consistency, but I'm going to do it myself. Well, if you start with consistency, best case scenario, you already know how to have a structure and flexibility, but you don't have accountability. So if you're doing it yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure. So don't do it alone. Allah says in the Quran, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ ذِكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ ذِكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Yes. So ask the people of knowledge if you do not know. If you're ignorant, honestly, if you don't know how to do a thing, how would you know doing it without knowing how to do it? You see what I mean? Sure, trial and error, but why? You know what I mean? Why waste all that time and energy and, So, for example, you could have someone with Afan. Let me give you an example with Afan. I checked up with him because he struggled with consistency. Even if I gave him the plan for workout, the ABC, and the flexibility, I checked in with him daily, on a daily basis, made sure that he would do it, right? So that could be an example of having that accountability, just like your parents, right? External accountability. Eventually, this is going to turn into a habit that turns into a lifestyle. And there's a concept called the 21-90 rule. It takes 21 days to build a habit, 90 days to build make that habit into a lifestyle. Some people have criticized this. It's from a book, but either way, it makes sense, right? You don't start building a lifestyle by building a lifestyle. You start by building a lifestyle. How? Having external accountability that builds up your internal accountability. That after that will build up these daily habits you will have in that particular area that will turn into a lifestyle. So, number 3, let's find out why most programs why they fail. The problem here is most programs you see out there, they offer one size fits all solution, and they don't adapt to certain challenges you might have as an individual, as a person. As Matt, she struggled with emotional eating that I spoke with earlier on. Arfan struggled with, consistency, and he needed accountability in that. It can be challenges like fasting or praying on time, prayer schedule, or even like cultural pressures. I know a lot of people that I work with, like, how should I lose weight? My mom or parents or whatever, they just shove the food down my throat. So it's hard to do a keto diet in that. Like, I cannot even imagine, right? And I understand why the programs are like this. It's easier to create one size fits all and sell to a lot of people. The one who's selling it is making a lot of money on this, right? But it can be very hard. Like, it works for some people. Don't get me wrong, it works. But if it's not working, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Like, the problem is not necessarily you. It rarely is. You are rarely the problem. It's the solution. It's the approach, right? And I would say, honestly, another problem is why most programs fail at the end of the day is they lack a comprehensive approach. So what I mean by that, like an approach that covers all areas. For example, that combines the three pillars, three-pillar strategy I just mentioned, right? The three pillars of consistency. They don't have structure, flexibility, or accountability, or they might have some of them, but not all of them, right? So you need to, look at the three pillars of consistency and think about the salah. Structure. You know what to do. You need to pray. You know when to do it. There are certain times. You know how to do it because the Prophet ﷺ mentioned it, right? He taught us through the ahadith, right? Even in the Quran, you have the certain explanations of the salah. And flexibility. There is flexibility with the salah. For example, you sisters out there, or if you're a sister that's listening, you're not praying salah for a certain period of time during the month, right? Because it gives you flexibility. There's a wisdom behind that. Or the example I gave earlier about the resident and traveler. And accountability. There is accountability. You know that this is the first thing you will be asked about when you meet Allah. If your prayer was good, all your actions were good. If the prayer was not good or bad, all your actions were bad. But not only accountability in akhirah, accountability in dunya. You are instructed to teach your kids about the salah. The men need to it's obligatory for them to go to the mosque, where the other men to keep you. You see this amazing system already in place, just with the example of the salah. And you can use this in losing weight. Like, why not? It's already working. And this system of consistency is already there in the salah, which was sent down, or not even sent down. The Prophet was sent up to receive this revelation of the salah. Such a huge thing. So what can you do today? If you're starting with consistency, no matter if it's about reading Quran, diet, workout, prayer, here are a few things you can do today. So listen up carefully. If you didn't listen these past, 20 minutes, this is now it's time to wake up. First, reflect on your current approach. Look at are you doing something? If you're not doing something, start doing something. But if you're doing something, ask yourself, do I have a structure that actually fits me? Or it's just something I picked up from a random website, or random, person in the gym? And also ask yourself, is it flexible? And is it supported by accountability? Are you held accountable? Or can you just give up whenever you want and no one's going to hold you accountable? Now, after that, after you reflected on what you do, like the plan, identify one small action. And this works if let's say you didn't have a plan in the first place, but identify one thing you can do today that can take you on to improve your consistency, like a micro goal. Today, like let's say, I want to start losing weight. Okay, don't wait until the New Year's Eve. Don't wait until Ramadan. Don't wait. Do something today, and it can be a small action. It can be as small as, you know what? Starting today for dinner, I'm going to have a glass of water before I eat, just to kind of, balance out my improve my digestion and balance out the hunger and whatnot, right? Improve my hydration. Okay, one glass of water, come on. It can't be that hard. And if it's that hard, find something else. Again, find the right structure for you. So that's what you should do today. Now, if you benefited from this, please give it a share. Share it to someone who you know would benefit. It would make me very happy if you did so. And if you are listening, make sure to follow the podcast so you can be updated or keep yourself updated with the upcoming episodes. We're going to talk about how to purify your body and soul, about how regrets can really be painful and why, just trying and not giving it all is failing with a few nuances. Yeah, we got a few things coming up. So make sure to follow the podcast in the whatever player you have. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like the video, share it. And I see you in the next episode, inshallah ta'ala. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.